All right, we're here with the Westinghouse. Very interesting fan. I mean, so overbuilt. It's got two. Come on, guy. It's got two set screws. One, two. Very interesting. And these have these Westinghouses actually have a round. It's a round set screw. There's a round divot drilled into the shaft where it attaches. Is very interesting. We're gonna take the blades off. You know, how far will we get with all this? Well, it's really gonna depend if I can get this off without breaking it, because that will be determined whether we're able to get the switch out. And then we've got, you know, our cloth wiring harness, all this stuff here. Yeah, I'm going to take the blades off. We'll take a closer look at the motor, and I'll show you some of my concerns with working on this fan. All right, so, you know, the fan is still pretty dirty. I never really got it really cleaned a lot. What I found was everywhere I tried to clean it, the paint started coming off the motor. This has got to be aluminum here, because there's no rust. Here's your divots for your set screw. Pretty wild, right? And inside, it doesn't look too bad, actually. It's not too dirty internally. And the reason that's a good thing is because I'm not sure if this is going to really come apart. I mean, the motor is attached to this flange thing. It's not 100% clear. Maybe it'll come apart because it looks like that's the laminations there. It's got a weird little rubber cap for the oil port, which is pretty roached. It's old rubber, so I think if I were to try to take this off, there's a bead inside. Like, I was able to get a decent look at it. And if I try to take that apart, the piece that's inside might stay inside. That was one thing that worried me. Not 100% sure if it's really going to come apart. And even if we do get these screws out, this is all going to be kind of glued together on these decrepit rubber mounts. So that's a problem. And then, you know, the fan is super dirty still. I mean, I got like standing dust and dirt out of it when I did it, but it needs to be really fully done. So I'm just not so sure how much I'm going to be able to get done. And then, you know, if we have to rewire it and build a new wire harness, you know, Jesus, man, I don't know anything about all that. We've got, these might be screws on either side, or it's a bolt on the other side. Sorry, you can't see that. So anyway, this is what it looks like I'll have the blades on. Pretty giant motor. So yeah, she's real dirty. And the question will be, what's the best thing to do? This piece of wire, these wires that go, this is the speed coil, we believe, and then this goes across to the switch. Very brittle. So, you know, and then the cloth wiring, you know, you gotta be careful. That stuff could be asbestos. God only knows what's in there, because this was made in the 50s. So you gotta be real careful with that. So anyway, this is what it looks like. You can see that there is a screw under the switch. Let's turn the fan around. So from this side, we can see the two screws where the switch is mounted. And here's the motor. Let's see. It looks more dirty on the inside on this side of the motor. So obviously, we want to be aware. It looks like the wiring harness thing. These wires come all the way this way. And here's the thing I had a problem with. When I took apart this guy, the Riviera, okay, I had trouble with the wire that was in there. It was this weird triple braided super fine copper wire, and it didn't want to take solder. I ended up just using caps, wire twist caps to, you know, wiring caps, to get this back end running, because I was having a hard time soldering it. So if I start pulling this apart and destroy the wiring harness, then there's no guarantee I'm going to be able to actually put a new lead on this thing. When I had the Robbins and Myers, now granted that's a 20s fan. When I had the Robbins and Myers apart, the lead wires are all braided in and tied together. There's no way I would have been able to pull that apart for proper headwire rewiring. I mean, it was just crazy. So this is the kind of thing, like, this is a really cool fan, but it's a little daunting for me because it's pretty far out of my comfort zone with what it actually needs. So part of me is just, happy to kind of throw it back together, and leave it the way it darn well is, There's your speed coil capsule anyway. So this is where I'm at with this guy. I love this fan, but I'm not so sure it's smart for me to try to take this apart on account of, I'm no expert at this stuff. So anyway, that's my thoughts on this. The blades are off. We've had them off before. But the question is this something I can actually do? To pull it out here and be like, oh cool, I'm gonna try and work on this fan, and then when I get it up here, it's like, oh, this thing's a freaking mess. So I guess we'll see. I don't really know. I mean, again, it's possible that on the other side of the fan we could see the laminations. On this side of the fan we can't. So it's possible that this flange is all a part of the rear housing. Which, interesting, which means you've definitely got to get this all apart because the wiring harness comes through here. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy. So what I might try to do is, first things first, see if we can get the switch knob off. And if we can, then maybe try taking down the switch and see how many wires are coming through this wiring harness. And if we can figure that out, then maybe we can kind of backtrack and figure out what's where. But yeah, this thing is a monster, and really requires someone who actually knows what they're doing. But that's not what we have. You only have me. So I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So that's the problem. Anyway, and it runs now as it is. You're not going to run this all the time. I think I was able to oil it back here, and I think I oiled it at the motor where the shaft goes in, but I don't think I was able to order in the oil in the front. And I don't use it; it doesn't get run, so that didn't really matter anyway. So anyway, that's where we're at. We got to figure out what we're really comfortable doing with this, and then once we figure that out, we'll see what happens. All right, well, good news. I didn't break the switch knob. Try not to drop it. It's a nice blue color underneath where it's not gross. You can't really see the difference, but I can. And it's more green than what the camera is really showing, probably because of the light here. We got a couple of screws up here and washers, whatever. And that brings us to, again, that's a little thing to get that off of there without breaking it. For me, it's a big deal because I usually break things. But anyway, the next thing would be, even if we can get this undone, we're opening a can of worms because we got the wire here and we got this crispy wire for the speed coil. So this is where you get started. This is where you say, am I doing this or am I not? And I guess we're going to sleep on it and decide tomorrow. So anyway, there's the Westinghouse. Big boy. Box fan there, guy, kid. Forget about it. So yeah, it's a little bit of a lot to think about. What I've done in the past is just backtracked the wiring, and but again, I had so much trouble with this. If this gets to the point where I'm gonna have to solder wire, and it doesn't work, on this I'm not gonna have the room inside the housing to use wiring caps. With this, it worked out where I had room because it all happened outside of the motor. But yeah, that's what concerns me the most. So anyway, that's where we are. But, you know, this is so dirty, and really the way to handle it would be to get everything out of here and wash it out as best possible. And then, you know, like I said, I was thinking about doing a flat clear on it, you know. But I don't have that. I'd have to order it. So anyway, there we are. That's the Westinghouse. That's what she looks like. This is the most interesting part, is this little funny plug. And you can't really see it, but there's like more to it. It's like a little, it kind of presses in there. And that, you know, that's going to break. If I decide to take this off, that's going to break. And whatever is in there is going to end up down here into the, this must be a giant felt area. So anyway, there it is. Giant Westinghouse box fan. Cool machine, but I don't know how much further I can really go. Outside of, you know, you throw caution to the wind and say, hey, I'll try, right? But if you F it up, and that's it. Because you're not going to find parts for something like this, that's for damn sure. So anyway, that's where we're at tonight with the Westie. We're going to leave it sit. We're going to think about it. So there you go.